Hey everyone, Austin here again. I'm gonna do some unboxings. I actually ordered quite a few things last week and I just got them in the mail. What kind of kicked this off was getting the C64 Mini. I bought it for $50 at Micro Center in person. It's actually a little bit cheaper online. I think $45 shipped from Amazon. But I was there in person and I could have sworn these things were a little more expensive at one point in time, but it's basically at impulse buy territory as of this point. And I don't actually have a lot of experience with things like the Commodore 64. I've always wanted to have more experience with them, and this seems like a great sort of like gateway drug into that ecosystem. So after getting this, I was like, man, I'd really like to try some of the other mini consoles, or mini computers specifically, like the Atari 400 and the Amiga 500. So I ended up ordering those too, and then I also ordered an Atari 2600 Plus, which is not computer related, but it is something I've been planning on ordering for a while anyway. So we're going to go ahead and unbox all this stuff. I'm going to start with the C64 Mini because I did buy this locally, and we're just going to go ahead and see what's on the inside of it for anyone that's curious about this. For anyone that isn't used to this kind of video, feel free to use the time codes down below so you can skip to whatever computer or console you want to see unboxed. And then at the end of the video, we're going to do some other stuff as well. And yeah, it should be a fun video. So let's go ahead and start off by unpacking this C64 Mini. So this is a tiny version of the Commodore 64, which was a very popular computer from back in the day, especially amongst gamers. And this is the mini version. It has a little keyboard on it, but it's actually not a functional keyboard from what I understand. There is a maxi version, which costs more money, but it does have a full-size keyboard that is actually functional. So for anyone that wants the original C64 experience, apparently the maxi is the way to go. For me, I don't really care. I just want to play games and you know, do some variety streams and stuff like that. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and just open up one side here. And let's see, can I get a grip on it? All right. So it comes in this nice little cardboard packaging. Pretty cool, I like it. I like that it's got a logo and everything. So let's open that up, and here's the Mini C64. And it looks like it comes with a joystick that is very similar to joysticks from back in the day. Again, I'm not too familiar with the C64 as an ecosystem itself. You know, I have played some of its games, but honestly, I'm not very familiar with its accessories and things like that. So it looks like you've got a couple of plastic protectors there, and looks like a little cardboard flap that comes undone. And here's our console, or our computer. And that's it, the C64 Mini. Very cool. 2 USB ports on the side, and it looks like that. I don't know if that's a power button, but it looks like we've got power in via USB, and then an HDMI port. Nothing on the other side, nothing on the bottom. And I haven't done an unboxing video in so long. Pardon me, it's gonna take a little while to get used to this. So yeah, C64 Mini. Pretty light, but the plastic feels pretty solid. And the keys do not punch in. From what I understand, you can actually hook a USB keyboard up to this, so you can actually use all the function keys and stuff like that, which is kind of what I plan on doing when I do some streams of this thing. Let's see what else is inside here. So let's go ahead and take this flap out. Looks like it reveals a lot of cables and stuff like that. Our joystick is wired, so there's our joystick that comes included with it. It is pretty light. Very stiff. I know some joysticks from back in the day were like that. It might be usable. We'll see. Buttons feel very stiff, actually, and it looks like there are some plastic protectors, some mylar protectors on top of that, so you can actually take those off. Typical, you know, for brand new products. Texture actually feels okay on the base, and looks like we have a handful of buttons on the bottom as well, and 2 up here. Also very, very stiff. Cool. All right, set that aside. And we have some more cables. Looks like it comes with an HDMI cable, which is actually very nice. And it does come with a USB cable. It looks like you have to provide your own power brick unless you run it into another device that can power via USB, like a PC or something like that. And I'm not seeing anything else in here. Let's go ahead and see what booklets it comes with. So it looks like it actually does have some material, which is very cool. If I can get this out of here. It's weird looking through a camera. Looks like this is promoting AntStream, which I have never actually used. Don't really have any intention on using it, but it's apparently a retro gaming streaming service. And then actually has a C64 Mini quick guide, which is pretty cool. Look at that. It's actually got about 10 pages worth of content, 13. So very neat. I miss the days of actual instruction manuals and whatnot, and looks like this really fits the bill. It is in multiple languages though, so the actual manual itself, it's probably only, it looks like a couple pages. So, but yeah, it's got a quick guide with it. I might have to take a look at that later. But that is the Commodore 64 Mini. I'll go ahead and actually hook this up and I'll show you guys some like B-roll footage of it to see what it's like for anyone that's curious. Alright, so this is actual mail. This, I think, probably has my Amiga 500 Mini, or it's called the A500 Mini. So let's go ahead and open that up. Good old Amazon packaging. And yes, it is the A500 Mini, also by Retro Games. I completely threw my camera out of whack there just trying to move the box. Alright, let's do this a different way. Alright, so yeah, it looks like this one actually comes wrapped. I don't know if that's from the factory or if that's an Amazon thing, but this is, yeah, man, this feels very bulky, actually. That actually is pretty awesome. I have always wanted to try to get into the Amiga, and I've had platforms in the past, like the Mister FPGA, that have pretty good cores for it, but my Mister currently is out of commission. And what's really awesome about these little mini devices is that you can load up a USB stick and load up your own game library to it without having to hack it. So, but yeah, this is really packed. The lineup looks awesome. Like, it's got Zool, Another World, aka Out of This World, Worms, it's got Alien Breed, I think it's got Alien Breed 3D on it as well, and yeah, just a lot of really cool stuff on it. I don't see Shadow of the Beast though, that's a bummer. But yeah, this thing looks pretty packed. The artwork looks pretty awesome too on the packaging. So but yeah, same deal as the C64. I think all these are going to be the same deal, except for the 2600 Plus, which I mentioned. But the computers, all of them, I think you can load games up with a USB stick. And this one, I think, actually comes with a mouse and a CD32 style gamepad controller, which is really cool. So it looks like the little seals right here. So let's go ahead and open that up. Actually, let's make sure there's no other seals in other parts. I think it's just that one seal, for anyone that's curious. So let's go ahead and snip that. And there we go, just like the C64, non-functioning keys as far as I'm aware. Same kind of packaging, it is the same company. So yeah, this one has, it seems like the same kind of plastic shell as the C64 Mini, which feels pretty good. It's got a fake floppy disk drive on the side, And looks like it's got 2 LEDs there for, looks like a disk drive and power. I wonder if the disk drive one actually lights up. But still, I really like the quality of these things. I mean, they are mini consoles, but they feel pretty good. 3 USB ports in the back, and then 1 USB Type-C, that's probably going to be for power, and then 1 HDMI port. And yeah, that's going to be the power button, just like on the C64. Okay, very cool. Let's open this up. Looks like we get a quick start guide as well, just like on the C64 Mini. Probably also in multiple different languages, yep. And this one has much less, I'm not going to say much less info. I think it's got less languages. That's all. Okay. So let's go ahead and take this out. Oh, very nice. So the accessories come in their own little boxes. That's really cool. So first point is the mouse. And this is probably going to have some of the other hookups as well, because I don't think the mouse is going to take up as much space as the gamepad. And so yeah, we've got ourselves the mouse. That is actually super cool. It feels very cheap, but it does have a decent texture, and the buttons actually click. So, okay, and it's USB. Very cool. And then we've got ourselves an HDMI cable. And actually, what's really cool about this HDMI cable is it's got this like beige look to it. So it'll actually match the console. I'm gonna actually keep this one out because of that. That's actually really cool. It's a nice little touch, retro games. Nice little touch. I really like that. It's the simple things, right, guys? And this is gonna be our CD32 style controller, which I think is actually really cool because I've never actually been able to hold a CD32 controller. It's one of those few kind of like mainstream-ish consoles, 16-bit consoles that I've never been able to own. I was gonna buy one a long time ago when they were cheap, but they are no longer cheap. So yeah, anyone out there that has experience with the original Amiga, did it have a controller like this? Just like this specific design? Or was this really just like a modern thing made after a CD32 controller? It's not one-to-one to a CD32, and it does feel on the cheap side of things. Yeah, it reminds me of some of those old, like, Interact controllers from, like, the Super Nintendo era. But I'm sure I'll get used to it. I'm sure it'll be fine. And you might actually be able to plug in your own third-party controller from, like, a different platform. So I'm going to have to look into that. But it does have 6 face buttons plus the menu and home. Yeah, the menu and home buttons really don't feel good at all. It almost feels like they're getting stuck sometimes. So... But yeah, when I fire this thing up, we'll see how the D-pad works and how the face buttons function. But still, this was not that expensive. I think like $100, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. I don't even remember what I paid at this point. But you know, it's cool that you get a mouse and a controller, which is actually key to these computer platforms because a lot of them do have games that support this, and then other games that support this, and then there are other games that probably require the keyboard. And just like the other mini computer consoles, you can plug an external keyboard up to it to get that functionality as well. So, but yeah, let's go ahead and give it a try, show off some gameplay.
Approaching asteroid belt.
Homing the top. Select now for speed up. Speed up.
Oh, good lord, this box is big. Well, sort of. Okay. So Amazon sent me the other two things in this gigantic box, and I don't know actually where they are. I don't want to accidentally cut into them, but I almost feel like, because of how I'm doing things right here, I almost have no choice. So I'm going to be very light up here. Whoop. I didn't feel anything. That's good. I think my boxes are safe. Ugh. I just don't have enough room up here. I need like a proper desk setup where I just do like unboxings or talk about various things in my hardware collection. Alright. So alright, we're going to start off with another computer related item, and then we'll move on to basically console based stuff here. But this is the Atari 400 Mini. This one actually just came out very, very recently as of doing this video. I watched the review from the 8-bit guy, and you know, it seemed like the build quality and all that stuff was pretty decent on it, and the fact that you can load USB games onto it, or play games from a USB stick, I should say, on your own, without having to hack it was a huge selling point, especially with some of those homebrews he featured, like Prince of Persia, which looks awesome for this thing. So this actually replicates a variety of Atari 8-bit computers, including the 400 and 800, and I think maybe even some other models as well. But yeah, it even does Atari 5200 games and Atari XEGS games, which is actually quite awesome. So yeah, cool little box right here. And just like before, it's got one little seal for anyone that was wondering. And yeah, the packaging feels really good. Let's go ahead and open that up. And from what I understand, I think this comes with a CX40 style joystick, which is basically the joystick that the Atari 2600 used. And just like the other ones, you can hook up a real keyboard to it. Even a mouse, if there are any games that support the mouse, maybe? I don't know. But yeah, same kind of packaging as before. And this is it right here. I actually did own a Atari 400 at one point in time, but I never actually used it. I never bought any cartridges for it, and you know, it was mostly just for show. but so this will actually give me the opportunity to actually, you know, play some of its games for once. So just like before, no real keyboard, it's just for display. And same with the function keys, you have to plug up a real keyboard to be able to utilize those. However, it does have 4 USB ports in the front. That's actually quite a lot. And 1 in the back, so you get 5 total USB ports, which is kind of crazy. That's probably where you want to plug in your USB thumb drive for games. Same power button, same USB Type-C power, and then same HDMI connection. Nothing on the side here, and nothing on the other side, and then of course nothing on the bottom. But same quality plastic and design as the other ones, so yeah. Looks pretty sweet. Looking forward to diving into this library as well. I'm kind of in the mood for some Golden Age era gaming at this point in time, just to mix things up. Let's go ahead and put that down. And again, like I said, you have a CX40 style joystick. And it looks like you got 2 buttons up front, which could be for menuing. And yeah, this feels pretty good. Brand new CX style controller. Doesn't feel just like the original. It is a lot more stiff. But yeah, still pretty cool. I like that. No turning functionality. But alright. Let's see what else is in here. Same removable kind of box. We do have a another quick start guide from what it looks like. And nothing in there. Let's go ahead and pull that quick start guide out. There we go. We got an Atari logo that's very reminiscent of the classic one they used for computers back in the day. That rainbow color. But yeah, quick start manual. And last but not least, all of our hookups for sure. Let's open that up. If it lets me. And look at that, it's got another HDMI cable that actually has a similar color tone as the actual console itself. And just like with the other ones, I'm actually really glad they're including the USB cables at the very least. It is kind of a bummer that they're not including, you know, dedicated power bricks. I would prefer a power brick to be included as well. I can't imagine it adds that much to the cost. And but at least they're including the cables, so you can get this thing powered up pretty easily, just right out of the box. And but yeah, that's the Atari 400 Mini. I'm actually really looking forward to trying this out, especially some of the homebrews. Like again, like I said, that Prince of Persia homebrew looks super impressive, and I think that homebrew might be for the 800. But again, this emulates a bunch of different Atari 8-bit platforms, not just the original 400. So yeah, let's go ahead and fire this up and see what some gameplay is like. right, the last major thing I got in this specific package is the Atari 2600 Plus. So this is a modern Atari mini console, sort of mini. Apparently it's still a decent size, that takes actual 2600 cartridges. Now, this isn't the first time that this has been done. However, it is the first time that I think Atari has done this with a modern emulation package in a very, very long time. And as a first-party thing, well, I guess, yeah, first-party thing. This is a modern computing device that has a software emulator built in. So they're using software emulation, but it is still official Atari, and they kind of helmed this project. And I know they probably contracted out someone to actually make it, but this is actually, you know, basically made and sold by Atari, as opposed to, like, you know, the At Games collaboration that they did for a while there. I think it was At Games. But man, this feels pretty high quality, really nice box packaging and whatnot. It is minimalistic, but I mean, this is such a classic console that that's really all you need. It just kind of speaks for itself. And they have like the rainbow Atari theme going on there again, like they used a lot with the you know, the 8-bit computers and whatnot, and maybe even like the ST. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've had an ST now. It actually comes with one cartridge which has 10 games in one, a lot of the common games, which it includes Adventure, Combat, Haunted House, Dodge'em, Maze Craze, Missile Command, Real Sports Volleyball, Surround, Yar's Revenge, and Video Pinball. So yeah, that comes on an actual cartridge, and that cartridge I believe you can actually use on an actual Atari 2600. So that is really awesome. So let's go ahead and open this up. One reason I've been wanting this for a while is that I have actually built up a real 2600 cart collection again, and but it's really hard to capture 2600. Even if I AV mod it, the video quality is not all that great, and so this will basically allow me to use my real cartridges on stream with really nice sharp picture quality. So, but here's the console itself. It's not exactly a mini console. It is smaller than the original. I mean, it's actually based on 4-switch models, I should say. 6-switch models were usually, yeah, some of them were a little bit wider. But yeah, this is still, you know, a hefty little thing, and it's really cool. It actually feels very similar to an actual 2600, because the plastic they used back then wasn't phenomenal. It has that same kind of texture as the original, and it's got that wood grain finish, which is, you know, it's just iconic for the era. And you've got your various switches and stuff like that. Looks like all of these are, ooh, look at that. Game select and game reset are like, they're like the resistance based switches, which is awesome. TV type and power doesn't click in as smoothly as the original, but it also hasn't been used to death. So I'm gonna guess it's just a different switch type, which makes sense. I mean, the 2600 is over 40 years old. So, but that's really cool. And cartridge slot is basically the same as before from what it looks like. On the back, we have 2 controller ports for the CX40s, and those are standard. And from what I understand, you can use original joysticks on this. You have various things back here, like other difficulty selections, and which is actually important if you want different game modes. And you've got USB Type-C power, and the HDMI is going out the middle right there. So, but yeah, it looks really awesome, actually. It feels better having it in my hands than just looking at pictures online, because I'm like, oh, another mini clone system, whatever. But this looks really sweet, actually. I'm actually kind of impressed. So, looks like we have ourselves another quick start guide. This one, unlike the retro games one, is only just one piece of paper. And it is still multiple languages, though, from what it looks like. Go ahead and set that aside. This right here, I'm gonna guess, is gonna be our CX40 joystick. Oh, look at that! Oh, that's awesome. It even has its own little sleeve. This is our 10 games in one cartridge. Oh, that's cool. Oh, and you have to use the dip switches to select your different games. I guess this is how they get it to work on an original 2600. So instead of having like a menu that loads up, they just use dip switches. That's very interesting. Actually a pretty cool way of doing this. I wonder if Atari Age manufactured these as well. I don't think they did. I think this was probably Atari directly. And let's go ahead and open this up. So, and this is going to be, yep, our CX40 joystick. Big long vertical box. What else could it be? But this is basically the same thing as in, and whoa, it is actually not the same thing. This is more like an original CX40. Holy crap. Oh man, it's like all, it feels like it's all membrane. That is very interesting. So the one that came with the 400 Mini is not the same thing, and this one doesn't have the buttons up top either. Oh, that is awesome. This is what an original 2600 joystick felt like. That is sweet. I can't wait to use this. Okay, well, let me put that right there. And yeah, this other one with the 400 Mini is like, you can even hear it. Listen to that. Now listen to this. You can barely hear anything because it's just a totally different design. That is awesome. I have so many like failed or failing 2600 CX40 joysticks that having a modern replacement that feels like the original is actually pretty awesome. So this is going to be our hookups. So one HDMI cable. And then we have one USB cord, and I think that's probably it. These the carving on the inside of this packaging only goes so deep, so I'm guessing the backside is just padding. Let's just look in it just in case. And sure enough, it is actually just padding. There is, yep, it's just cardboard, so nothing special. So yeah, just like you know, the other B-roll footage, I'll go ahead and take some gameplay of this for anyone that wants to see what the video quality is like and things like that. All right, last of the actual mail unboxing is 2600 Plus related. Let's go ahead and crack this open. So there are a couple of brand new cartridges you can get, but there's also a special controller bundle you can get. Which is this. This is the 4 games in 1 cartridge, and it comes with brand new paddle controllers. So the paddle controllers were used for games like Breakout, Demons to Diamonds, Circus Atari, Night Driver, and apparently it comes with a cartridge that has Breakout, Canyon Bomber, Night Driver, and Video Olympics. And I have a bunch of other paddle controller games. So this one's actually interesting. It has a seal on the top, but there's apparently no seal on the bottom, and it doesn't look like there ever was a seal. So, kind of interesting. So we'll go ahead and just open it up from the bottom. And looks like this is where our paddle controllers are. And I've heard that these new paddle controllers feel a lot better than the original paddle controllers. And we'll go ahead and crack the seal on the top while we're at it. That way we can get our cartridge out. Scrape my box, that's okay. But just like the 10-in-1, it's got its own sleeve, which is really cool. And it's also dip switch based from what it looks like. But here we go. 4 games in 1 cartridge. Yep, nothing crazy there. Same kind of label as before. Same dip switch option in the back. And on the front label of either the sleeve or the cartridge, it has the dip switches that you want to set it to. But yeah, let's see how these bad boys feel. So yeah, these are the paddle controllers. I have a couple sets of the originals, but they are so jittery and they're really hard to fix. But apparently, ooh, that feels very different, but I think in a good way. This is, wow, that's maybe even a different design. Whatever potentiometer is in there, it might be a different setup than the originals. This has a lot of tension to it. Like, ooh, that's a lot of tension. I'm sure I'll get used to it, but I'd probably maybe do it like this. I don't know. But yeah, it's got 2, so you can do 2 players. Very cool. That is awesome. So this bundle right here, I want to say was like 40 bucks. But you get the 4 games, plus you get the brand new reproduction paddle controllers. As of doing this video, these are not available by themselves. You have to buy them in this bundle pack. On Atari's website, you can pre-order these by themselves. I don't know why they're not selling them separately already, but I think they're like 25 bucks if you buy them by themselves. So you're basically looking at, you know, 15 bucks for the cartridge and, you know, 25 for these. So for me, I thought it was just good value just getting this whole thing, this one pack, to use with my 2600 Plus. But yeah, I'm really impressed with how these things feel. And yeah, I might as well go ahead and show some gameplay of this too with these things plugged in, so you guys kind of get an idea of like how smooth you can move things around. Alright guys, so last bit of stuff. I've actually picked up a lot of things recently. Yeah, I've been adding to my collection in various forms, including lots of 2600 games. I did pick up a lot of stuff the other week, but it's already on my game room shelf, so I'm not going to show any of it off. But I did just come home from one of the local video game stores today, and figured I'd go ahead and show off what I picked up. I don't normally do pickups style videos or anything like that, but I thought it would be kind of fun since I'm already here and recording and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I just grabbed a few different things, and I figured I'd kind of talk about, you know, just the stuff and collecting in general and things like that. So I actually went to East Starland. You guys have heard me talk about them many times. You know, I've worked for them a couple times over the years, over the last 2.5 decades, on and off, and then I've also been a longtime shopper since the mid-90s, and so they're kind of like my go-to place for retro video games. I do have to pay retail prices, but you know, even if you go on eBay and like you might save $1 or $2 on some of these cartridges unless you're buying lots. But so for me, to get them locally, I pay a little bit more, but they're usually pretty clean, and they do things like shrink wrap their product and whatnot. This isn't a product placement or anything like that, or a sponsorship. But that's where I go and I buy a lot of my video games locally. And we have a couple of other options, but Starland is the one with the biggest, most gigantic inventory I've ever seen at a retail video game store. So, but yeah, I picked up some 2600 cartridges. I got a single Genesis cartridge, I got a NES cart, I even got an Xbox game, and yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and just like show you what I got. But first things first, a bunch of you guys actually had, I think, recommended this on a Xbox stream probably sometime early last year, and I've been looking for the game. And Starland has had it on and off, but I just haven't really been in the mood to buy it. But I went ahead and grabbed it today because it was right there on their sales floor. It was easy to grab, and it looks like it's in pretty good shape, all things considered. But yeah, this was one of Midway's last like arcade conversions to home console, and yeah, it looks like everything's in really good shape. Disc is perfect, basically. And so yeah, I really loved Hydro Thunder. I love the San Francisco Rush games, although that was technically Atari games, but they eventually merged with Midway, so I kind of lump them together. But yeah, apparently Arctic Thunder is actually really cool, and I've heard the Xbox version is actually the best one to have. So next up is actually Joe and Mac for the NES. Unfortunately, this thing was like, I didn't want to pay as much as I did for it, but it is a pretty actually good game on the NES. I've got a couple of Let's Plays of it on my channel. Actually, I did a proper Let's Play of this, like my 2020 format, where there's face cam and everything and pop-up sounds and stuff like that. So if you want to see this, go watch that video. It's a pretty good version of Joe and Mac. I do like it, actually. It was done by a Western development studio, and it's solid. I do actually like this. I actually also had this growing up, so I definitely wanted it in my NES cart collection. So next one is Kyle Petty's No Fear Racing. So I actually played this a lot growing up. I actually really enjoyed this game. A lot of people like to kind of dunk on it these days. But you don't really see it around all that often, and it's usually like 15 and up when you see it. This one was only like 7 something. It's got a lot of labels on it, but the label itself is fine. So this can get cleaned up. All these labels can come off with a little bit of time and care. So that'll be a project for another day. Sega Genesis game, Streets of Rage 2. This is something that I've been wanting to add to my Genesis collection for a while. I wasn't originally collecting Genesis cartridges, but a couple years ago I started collecting NES. Then I started collecting Super NES. And then I eventually moved over to Genesis, but the Genesis editions have been very, very slow. I just buy once every couple of months. And stuff like Streets of Rage 2 has gone up in price a lot. You know, you're looking at 30 or 40 cart only now, which is kind of crazy. But it's one of the greatest beat 'em ups ever made, if not the greatest beat 'em up ever made. It's got the most replay value, you know, the greatest stage variety, the greatest character variety. So, had to have that. Alright, so basically the rest of what I got are Atari 2600 cartridges. I've been buying a lot of 2600 carts lately to play on the 2600 Plus specifically. The 2600 Plus, as of doing this video, is not yet publicly hacked, so you can't just load any game you want onto it. Apparently there might eventually be a software upgrade to do that, but for me, I don't really mind. I have a lot of the games I want to play in my own personal collection, and a couple of other games I want to continue to add to it on the more affordable end of things. Some of those games on the more affordable end are the games by iMagic. I'd like to eventually have just about every iMagic game, along with every Activision game. I think those two development studios were the best developers for the 2600, and then Atari would probably come right behind them, because Atari did put out a lot of really good games too. But iMagic and Activision had just, their quality was much more consistent than most other developers from back then. Now, I don't know if these are actually good iMagic games, but they are very cheap. We're talking like $3 a piece. So I got Firefighter. Again, I don't know if this one's actually any good, but for $3 I was like, it's iMagic. I want to have all the iMagic games anyway, within reason. I'm just going to buy it anyway. Same with Trick Shot, which is a billiards-based game. So I'll be very interested to see what they do with that. And then one more iMagic game, which is Riddle of the Sphinx, which I've also not played. I actually haven't played any of these three iMagic games. I played a lot of the other ones, just not these three. So I'll be interested to try these out, and I will. Picked up Battlezone by Atari, another cheap one. Airlock, which, if I remember correctly, I think it was some kind of like side-scrolling platform, single-screen platformer that was a little stiff, but I think I remember owning this back in the day, and so that should be fun to mess around with. And then this one I never actually played, Encounter at L5, also by the same company there. Data Age. Yeah, it looks like it's Data Age. So I haven't played a lot of Data Age games, I think just Airlock. So this one apparently also uses the paddle controllers. So we'll try that out. I picked up Vanguard by Atari. This was super cheap. It was like $2 or something like that. Don't think I've ever actually played Vanguard before, but you know, for that price, I'll give it a try. Lock and Chase by Mattel. Mattel released a bunch of 2600 games in these weird shells. They're actually kind of hard to stack on your shelving units, which is annoying, but you know, they do stand out. So if you're going to like a retro video game store and you're really looking for Mattel titles, it's very easy to spot these because they stick out like a sore thumb. But yeah, I've never actually played Lock and Chase on the 2600. I thought there was one on the Intellivision. I think I played it there, but it's been a really long time. And then the last one is a 20th Century Fox game, Turmoil. I think I've emulated this one before, and I think I remember it being an okay, like, single-screen, weird kind of shooter sort of thing. Unless I'm confusing it for another game. There were a lot of 2600 games that were, like, similar to each other, so it's easy to get them all mixed up, but I think this one was more expensive relative to these. It was probably closer to like $8 or something like that. Again, I got to pay retail, but you know, it's all relative. If I get some enjoyment out of it and we get to play like on streams and stuff like that, you know, it'll still be pretty fun, and that's what matters, right? So really looking forward to firing up the 2600 Plus, giving some of these a try, along with a host of other 2600 titles. I'll scroll my 2600 collection list across the screen so you guys can see what I own. But yeah, expect some mini console streams. Well, yeah, mini console streams. I mean, I picked up a Genesis Mini 2 back in December, and I barely told anyone here except for my channel members. I have an exclusive unboxing video of that. For anyone that's a channel member, go to the members tab on my page, you could see that. But also we have the mini computers now, which I really want to try out on stream. So the Atari 400, the C64, the A500, and then of course, last but not least, we've got the Atari 2600 Plus, which I'm really looking forward to trying out. Like I said, I've been building my 2600 collection. Last week I went out, I think I bought like 15 cartridges, and then this week I went out and bought these 10 or so. And then I picked up a 2600 bundle from a friend about 4 years ago. No, about 3 years ago now. And so that helps me add a lot of carts to my collection as well. And but yeah, that's it, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it was fun to watch or different. And I'll try to be back with some the regular stream content and hopefully regular gameplay content sometime soon. So until the next one, guys, take it easy.